Hey, Ron here with Back 40 Farms. If you saw our processing chicken video, in that video we talked about how to part out the chicken. A lot of people don't know how to do this and it takes some practice, but we thought we'd do a quick video and show you how easy it is to have your own chicken thighs, breasts, legs, and not waste any of the meat. So without further ado, let's get it over to Lisa.
All right, so here we have our whole chicken. We butchered these last week. They're fresh, and you can do this with a chicken that you get from the store as well. So first thing I like to do is take the wings off. That's kind of the easiest joint to get through at first. So I'm gonna cut along here around the shoulder, and being careful not to cut into the breast meat. You find that joint, you can pop it, and then just cut it right out. So there's our wings. I will remove the tips from these before I bag them up as well. As easy as that. The next thing I do is take off the legs and the thighs all in one piece. You can choose to leave them in that quarter if you want, or you can separate them. I usually separate them, and in fact we're also boning some of our thighs, but I'm not going to do that in this video. So you just come up around the leg, being careful again not to cut into that breast tissue there, and if you cut through that little membrane you get a good separation there, and you can see that. It's real easy. Then you just bring your knife up around the hip, follow it around, and on the back end, getting through some of this skin, you can clearly see where that whole section is. So then you just come up here, cut through the thigh, through the hip, and if it's easier you can kind of pop that joint. You can see where the bone end is there, and then you just cut right through it. So there you have your leg quarter. Same thing here, cutting through the skin first. Of course you gotta have a real sharp knife, it's very important. If you have to do a lot of sawing, you're probably going to ruin your meat, so, or at least it won't be very pretty. So gentle cuts to get that skin separated. And again, there's that separation you can see there. I'm just going to come up around the hip. Staying kind of close to this bone there. Legs and wings. And I'll separate those legs from the thighs here in a moment. Then I'm going to skin the breast. Comes off pretty easily. There's a little help from the knife. So these will be boneless, skinless breasts. And then I just cut away that extra skin and get rid of it. I'm going to use the carcass as well for bone broth stock. So I'm just cutting this little membrane here between where the thigh was and where the breast is. And then we're going to come right down the breastbone. It's right here. And this is probably the trickiest part. You want to find, again with your nice sharp knife, where that breastbone is and stay real close to it so you don't lose a bunch of meat. So it's just gentle little cuts along that bone. And then as you get in there, you can see there's a little separation right here. That's where the tender is and where the breast is. And oftentimes when you buy breasts at the store, you're getting both, but you can buy the tenders separately, and you can separate them out if you want to.
Is that where chicken tenders comes from,
That's
Mom?
where it comes from. So I'm keeping mine together.
I just thought I'd throw out that little
And as I gently go down with the knife, I'm just kind of pulling that flesh away from the bone, making sure I get as much of the meat as I can. Keeping the knife tipped towards the bone.
If you don't keep the tip of the knife, or when you're making cuts toward the bone, you can really mangle and lose. One, it won't look pretty, and two, it will actually make you lose volume as far as what you're going to eat.
So now you can see I'm right up against the bone here. I'm cutting now towards the back. It's just easier. I find it easier to go this direction. So I start at the top and then I come towards the back. Because there's a little bone right here that's still embedded in the flesh. And if you try to come at it from this angle, it's a lot harder. So come from front to the back, right along there, and then you're gonna slip it right off. So there's your breast and your tender, which you can separate out really easily. You might recognize that with that little tendon that you see on those. So keep in mind together, so I'm just gonna lay it out here.
And so we use the carcass, like Lisa said, to make bone broth, chicken broth.
Which I will can.
Which we're gonna can, which means that this this chicken that we raised and we hatched it, very, very, very little will actually not be used. So that's a good thing. Not be wasteful. So you might have seen in our last video where we showed the processing portion. We did about 75, 85 birds. And now we have to, we don't have to, we could do whole chickens. However, parting them out seems to be a lot more work on the front end. But when you are ready for legs and mashed potatoes that you grew from your garden, hopefully, or chicken breast or whatever, it's just nice to be able to go grab whatever part you need. So all of that is going to be boiled
That goes into
and
the
then
stock
canned.
cup.
And there you have what many people might say, hey, that's just like out of the store.
Breasts, leg quarters, and wings. Yes. So if you want to cut off the wing tips, you can just break that joint and cut through there.
And we usually cut that tip off because there's just not,
There's no meat.
there's not even enough to get stuck in your teeth. Well, you can throw those in the crock pot as
Yeah,
well.
you can put those in your stock. There we go. Okay, so
And now, she's going to show you how to separate what?
the leg and the thigh.
The thigh and the leg.
So this can be a little bit tricky, but if you kind of just pull the skin back, you can really see the delineation of where the leg is and where the thigh starts. So I like to start where it's really visible. And just make a little cut. And then once you press down, get through the skin. You can cut right through that joint. And then have my leg. And then have my thigh.
And if you turn that thigh over, so what you would do is you would cut toward the bone on both sides of that and then come up under, and you remove that bone, and then you'd have a boneless thigh.
And skinless if you want.
Yeah.
So I leave the skin on my legs, thighs, wings, but not the breasts.
Anything else?
That's it. Then we package them up and vacuum seal it and put it in the freezer.
Here's some examples. We do it by part. And Tony is at the portion
Boning the thigh as well.
taking the bone out of the thigh.
Just pretty much cut as close to the bone as you can all the way around without going all the way through. It's a little bit tedious and you'll have to sharpen your knife even more than you already should, but I definitely prefer thighs boneless, skinless.
If you're gonna do like a major deep fry, sometimes it's better to leave the skin on. But it's really personal choice or personal preference of how you like it.
There's your bone. Got pretty much all the meat off of it. And this guy had some pretty small thighs, but yeah, there's your difference. There's your bone in, skin on, and boneless, skinless.